to go second, so we're going to have opening remarks from Heidi Ganahl. Shall we begin?
Thank you, Sarah. Yes. Well, I am so honored to be here today, to be a voice for all of Colorado, and to be your very first mom in the governor's mansion. I'm an entrepreneur, a CEO. I'm a survivor. I fought through losing my first husband in a plane crash when I was 27, then through a brain tumor and brain surgery just a couple years ago. To come back, I've poured my heart into giving back. I founded several charities for kids, and I'm a statewide elected regent at CU, where we oversee a $5 billion budget and the third largest employer in this state. And now I want to fix Colorado. I'm proud of my record. I'm a problem solver, an outsider, not a politician. We are what our record says we are. And Mr. Polis, we're going to talk about your record tonight. You'll likely discredit, deny, and deflect from the fact that under your leadership, the people of Colorado face horrible problems with crime, inflation, and drugs. You'll say it's not the case, that all is well, and I'll say you're living on Fantasy Island. Tonight, Mr. Polis, you will likely ignore the fentanyl bill that you signed that made fentanyl a misdemeanor. It's the #1 killer in Colorado of young people. Thousands have died since that bill. The numbers are numbing. There are real people, families, children behind those numbers. I met Mickey on the campaign trail a few months ago, and her 16-year-old Hannah was having a rough day at high school. Her friend offered her a Xanax. That Xanax was laced with fentanyl, and it killed Hannah. Mickey. Mr. Polis, families like Mickey's are waiting to hear why you signed that fentanyl law in 2019 when you were warned that it would be devastating. I hope you will give them an answer and give Mickey an answer. Mr. Polis, you will also likely ignore the bill that you signed that made auto theft a misdemeanor. We are now #1 in the nation for car theft. How could you expect a single mom working 2 jobs to get to work and daycare when her car gets stolen? You will likely talk about how your highest priority is saving us money when you signed into place 85 new taxes and fees and grew the government by 25%. You killed our energy industry to drive up the cost of gas and heating our homes. Thanks to your approach, inflation is 15.6% in Colorado, the highest in the nation since Biden was put in office. It's not fair that Coloradans have to choose between heating their home, filling their tank, or buying school supplies. Colorado is headed in the wrong direction. We need a new governor, and tonight I hope to earn your vote. I am a mom on a mission, running to protect that American dream that I've been so blessed to live. And Jared Polis is destroying it here in this beautiful state. I am not going to pull punches tonight. There's too much at stake. In the last 4 years, Colorado has become one of the most dangerous states in the country to work, live, and raise a family. The governor's soft on crime bills have made it dangerous to live here. When you vote, hold him accountable. Our kids in Colorado are in crisis. We are top in the country in teen suicide and drug addiction. When you vote, hold him accountable. The number of homeless has skyrocketed under his term. It's grown by 1/3 in 2 years. When you vote, hold him accountable. And he has decimated our energy industry in Colorado with his Green New Deal. Gas prices are out of control because of it. Your heating bills will be too this winter. When you vote, hold him accountable. Now for the good news. We can fix it together. Let's work together to make it affordable to live here again, to make it safe, to revitalize rural Colorado, respect the farmers and ranchers. Let's work together to fix our schools and mental health crisis our kids are facing. Mr. Polis wants you to forget he created the problems he now wants to fix. I love this state. I will pour my heart and soul into fixing it. Thank
Regent,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regent. Governor?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Greater Pueblo Chamber of Commerce. Dwayne Nava, thank you. I got to pay him back for the money he spotted me last weekend at the Pueblo Chili Festival. Told him I was good for it. Thank you, President Mote, for hosting the very first gubernatorial debate of the 2022 election season. Let's give CSU Pueblo a round of applause. Go Thunderwolves. I know you retweet me when I wear my Thunderwolf shirt all over Colorado. Hey, it is great to be back in Pueblo. As many of you know, I announced my candidacy for governor here about 4.5 years ago. And when I decided to announce my candidacy for re-election, I did it right here again, here in Pueblo, kicking off both my campaigns here in the beating heart of Colorado, the city of heroes, Pueblo, Colorado. You know, when I first ran for governor, I made several bold commitments to Colorado. And I think part of what you're going to discern from tonight's debate is, yes, it's about who has the right ideas for our state, but it's also about who has a track record of getting them done. So when I first ran for governor, I told you Colorado had half-day kindergarten for kids, parents had to pay for full day. I said, I'm going to run for governor, and we're going to get full-day kindergarten and preschool for every child in the state. And guess what? We did. Saving families $400 to $500 a month on kindergarten for a full day, and starting next fall, saving families about $5,000 a year on preschool. That's real money, helping families where they need it. I said we were going to take immediate action to lower the cost of health care for thousands of Coloradans. And working together with Republicans and Democrats, we made a lot of progress. We reduced the rates in the exchange for people who don't get their insurance through their job, who aren't on Medicare or Medicaid. You very likely buy your insurance through the exchange. We reduced those rates by over 20%, over 25% here in Pueblo, Colorado, to afford health care insurance for more families. And we talked about how we're going to protect Colorado and continue to make it a special place to live, create thousands of good jobs across our state. So when my opponent talks about my record, I'm happy to talk about a record number of jobs here in Colorado. There are more jobs today than there were before the pandemic. A record budget surplus, record reserves higher than ever before, record economic growth, record property tax cuts, and working together, we are going to continue to set the record to make Colorado an even more amazing place. Look, today Colorado has one of the strongest economies in the nation. Decrease in unemployment, tens of thousands of jobs here today and on the horizon tomorrow. So today I stand here with two messages for Coloradans. Look, we know that the last few years have been challenging, some of the toughest years in our history. The 3 largest wildfires in the history of our state, the most destructive wildfire in the history of our state just 9 months ago, a global pandemic, global inflation. But we've never kept our eye off of keeping Colorado moving forward. It's been an honor to serve, and this election is fundamentally about moving forward rather than backward, because we know that we have more work to do. Of course, my opponent is right. Colorado has real challenges, and we need to stay focused not only in talking about the solutions, but also in getting them done. By bringing this same grit and determination and problem solving that Coloradans are known for, I'm grateful for this opportunity before you here at CSU Pueblo to talk about my vision for Colorado, how we're going to get it done, and earn your support this November. Thank you.
Thank you both. The first question will go to you, Regent, or the first answer will go to you. Running for governor of Colorado, what is the job?
Well, I think right now we need a leader. We need a leader in this state who understands the pain that people are feeling across Colorado. I've spent the last, really 6 years as a regent statewide, traveling the state and talking to voters all over Colorado and feeling their pain. Right now, business owners are feeling crushed. They're feeling suffocated by taxes, fees, regulations. Our kids are in crisis. You heard me say they have one of the highest suicide rates and drug addiction rates in the country. He kept schools shut down. He kept sports for kids shut down. He kept churches shut down. And he kept pot shops open during COVID. That's one of the reasons our kids are in a mental health crisis. I have 4 beautiful kids. I have twins that are 10. I have a 13-year-old Holly, and I have Tori, who's here somewhere, 27. And man, have we been on the front lines of this suffering with our children. They are not in a good place right now. I am a mom. I am first and foremost going to be a mom and listen to the children of Colorado and heal them and get them back on track. 60% of our kids in Colorado cannot read, write, or do math at grade level. Then you go to Denver, where homelessness is taking over the city and we're handing out cash payments. I have so much compassion for people who are suffering with addiction and mental health issues, but 95% of African American and Hispanic kids in the city and county of Denver cannot read at grade level. That is a tragedy. That does not bode well for their future. And finally, it's become unaffordable to live here. 15% inflation. That's because he's grown the size of government. He's added taxes, fees, new social programs. Small business owners can't keep up with all the programs they're supposed to implement and pay for. There's only so much money in the bucket. They can't afford to give people raises or hire more people because of all the dang programs and taxes and fees that are suffocating them. As someone who helped franchise Camp Bow Wow as my baby, I helped other franchisees build their business around something they love to do, dogs, right? Right now, I don't know that we could start Camp Bow Wow with all the regulations and fees and things that are weighing on small business owners. It breaks my heart. I think job creators are so important to our state and our economy. So I will be a warrior for small business owners. I will be a warrior for kids. I will make sure that we can stay in our state and afford to live here if you're a senior or a young person just starting out. And goodness gracious, we've got to clean up our streets. We are #1 in auto theft, #1 in property crime, #2 in fentanyl deaths, #1 in bank robberies, #1 in cocaine use. That's not the Colorado I grew up with in Monument, Colorado. And that is not the Colorado I want for my kids or my grandkids. We've got to fix this, and I will do just that.
Thank you. 3 minutes. What is the job of being governor?
Look, the job is frankly about leadership and getting things done. So it's not just about talking about public safety, it's about getting it done. I'm proud to join Mayor Gradisar in Pueblo in supporting 2B to fund our police here in Pueblo, and I invite Regent Ganahl to join me in supporting 2B. The truth is, her gas tax plan would cut funding for the state patrol by 50%. Her plan to eliminate the income tax would defund our correction system and let prisoners out on the
No,
street.
that's not true.
We delivered over $150 million to fund public safety, working with Republicans and Democrats in the legislature. We didn't just talk about it, we got it done. What did that mean? Money to local law enforcement across the state of Colorado. Look, we've lost as a state over 13,900 people to this pandemic. I think it's touched every one of us. I lost 2 friends. I know many of you did as well. But I'm proud that Colorado has the 9th lowest death rate and one of the shortest economic shutdowns in the entire nation. We didn't miss a single youth sports season or a single state fair, where, by the way, the state invested over $4 million in making improvements right here in Pueblo, with more on the way to the state fairgrounds. When my opponent had the chance to speak out against renewable water resources, buying up the water rights from San Luis Valley and selling them to Douglas County, she refused to. I was clear. Even Congresswoman Boebert joined me in opposition to this buy and dry plan that would destroy the ag economy of the San Luis Valley. And I encourage her today to join me and Action 22 and others to speak out against this water grab. Look, being a governor is about getting things done. And when I tell you I'm going to get something done, we have a pretty darn good track record of doing it. My goals in our next term, we're going to make Colorado one of the 10 safest states over the next 5 years. We took the first step with a $160 million investment. I hope Regent Ganahl joins me in the next step, supporting 2B here in Pueblo and similar initiatives across the state. You know, I was at the opening of the new Montrose Police Station just yesterday, 2 days ago, which was from a local initiative that passed as well. We look forward to stepping up state support to make sure that our men and women in blue know that we have their back. We need to reduce the cost of a higher education. I'm proud of President Mote here at CSU Pueblo. It's free for any family making $55,000 and under. They're doing great. They're attracting new students every day. And we need to do more to break down barriers to success in higher education, whether it's a certificate, an apprenticeship, whether kids are going on to community college or college. We made it free to get degrees as an uncertified nursing assistant, as an EMT, and we need to do more to break down those barriers to success. Look, when you hear ideas and solutions, it's important you also know that you're electing a governor that will get it done. I have gotten done what I said I would get done 4 years ago. We will get done what we're talking about here today, and I'm honored to have your support.
Thank you, Governor. We'd like to remind the crowd to please be respectful. Each candidate gets a 1-minute rebuttal. We start with you, Regent.
So let's talk about COVID. During COVID, Colorado Public Radio exposed an under-the-table deal you did with a friend of a donor. You gave him a $90 million contract for bad testing kits. He was 25 years old. We had the highest nursing home death rate in the country in the fall of 2020 because of it. You were never held accountable. In fact, in the legislature this last session, your Democrat friends and you decided to vote down the ability to do an audit of that situation. We are one of a handful of states that is still under an emergency executive order. The heavy hand of Jared Polis does its dirty work through these mandates, these dictates, through his army of unelected bureaucrats. As governor, I will trust the people of Colorado to make good decisions for their lives, their businesses, their families, their kids, their health. I won't call them names like selfish bastard or take away their freedoms. I will be a governor for the people of the people. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad Regent Ganahl supports the way we handled this pandemic, which was to empower people and communities to have the information they needed to make their own health decisions. And the truth is, in a big, diverse state like Colorado, we can't expect Pueblo and Douglas County and Weld County to handle the pandemic the same way. So we empowered our local elected officials, our local county health, to make sure that we could get through this together. And it drew us together. That's why Colorado had the 9th lowest death rate of any state and one of the strongest economic recoveries in the entire nation. So look, we got through this together, and there's a lot of hard work ahead. Together we can make sure that not only do we continue to lead the nation in job growth, but we make housing more affordable, close to where jobs are, all across the state of Colorado. Whether you're in Pueblo or Denver or Grand Junction or Fort Morgan, housing has risen to the top as one of the most important issues that the next governor needs to face. That's why when we had a statewide listening tour with Republicans, Democrats, across the entire state to use the one-time American Rescue Act funds, housing is one of the top priorities for that use, and you'll see the impact of those investments over the next few years.
Thank you, Governor. Next, we're going to talk about water. And Governor, you get the first response. And this is a two-part question. As water remains a private property right in Colorado with ever-increasing demands both in state and out, which is better for Colorado, prior appropriations or public trust? And as agriculture is a significant water user but absolutely vital to Colorado's economy and culture, how do we maintain a viable ag industry in the face of these ever-increasing demands?
Look, first we have to avoid these kinds of buy and dry policies. And of course, as a matter of principle, I came out against Renewable Water Resources Plan to buy up the water rights from the San Luis Valley and sell them to Douglas County. I encourage my opponent to join me in opposition to that poorly construed plan here today. We cannot pit one set of Coloradans against another with regards to our water future. We need to make sure that, yes, Colorado needs to be a state that thrives, including our strong agricultural economy, feeding Colorado, feeding the world, our single largest export, as well as making sure that we have enough water for our fast-growing and successful cities and suburbs. Look, as an upper basin state, the truth is Colorado's in a stronger legal position and a stronger water position than some of the lower basin states. The states that have the most worries right now are going to be Arizona, Nevada, and California, but it doesn't mean that we need to upgrade the way that we've been approaching water. Water in our state has never been a partisan issue, and I continue to work with people like Senator Jerry Sonnenberg and others to make sure that we protect Colorado's water and build out the infrastructure we need, including storage, to successfully address Colorado's future. We have been delivering on funding for the state water plan from the general fund, and we're working on an update for that state water plan as well. It also ties in to how we do economic development and housing. We need to make sure that there's more affordable homes close to where jobs are, that people can afford to live in, that are also more water efficient than growing further and further out from our cities. This is common sense. We've made a lot of improvements in infrastructure, both water infrastructure and road infrastructure. Here in Pueblo, US 50 and Purcell will be done in the next few months. We completed the GAP project between Castle Rock and Monument ahead of time and under budget. Two words that I love to hear, using my business background to drive change and get things done. We also helped the Pueblo Steel Mill break ground on the $500 million long rail mill right here in Pueblo. employing hundreds of Pueblans with good quality jobs. And we had a lot of fun as well. For instance, supporting the Fuel and Iron Project. If you haven't been in downtown Pueblo, great fun, great project, supported by the state as well. So infrastructure as a whole is going to be a major focus for the next governor. We have a track record of making resources go further, delivering projects ahead of schedule and under budget, and we're continuing to work, rather than pit one set of Coloradans against one another, as my opponent would, to bring Colorado together to make sure that we're able to have a strong future for our rural economies, our suburban economies, and our cities.
Thank you, Governor. Regent?
Thank you. Water's been a problem since 1876 in Colorado, and governors continue to kick the can down the road. I will take it head on. I won't defer to DC bureaucrats like Polis did, and I won't order more studies. I'll just act and get storage done. We have already convened 27 water leaders from around Colorado to help us do this. We'll keep water decisions here in Colorado, not hand them off to DC bureaucrats. And again, we'll focus on storage, actual storage, instead of ordering more studies. And we'll fight to protect what is ours in Colorado. We'll neutralize any negotiations on the Colorado River Compact. We only stand to lose in that. And we'll balance property rights with community rights. Ag is vital to Colorado's livelihood. I'm glad you put the two questions together because they are very connected. We've got to protect our water in order to protect the farmers and ranchers so they can produce amazing food for us. It goes hand in hand. It's undeniable that ag is vital to Colorado and our economy. It's the #2 industry in Colorado, yet Jared Polis ignores our farmers and ranchers and, worse yet, disrespects them. Instead, he hosts Meat Out Day. The good news is you increased meat sales dramatically that day because everyone spoke up. And I tell you what, there will never be a Meat Out Day in the Ganahl governorship. My husband's one of the top barbecue cooks in the country, so that's not going to happen. It's a $50 billion industry, 200,000 jobs, and 90% of the farms and ranches in Colorado are family-owned. I've visited many on the campaign trail. I visited Janie Van Winkle's ranch in Grand Junction and Chris and Mary Kraft in Fort Morgan, their dairy farm. I visited Talbot Orchards in Palisade and ate some great peaches. As your governor, I will respect the rural folks in Colorado. I will respect the ag industry. I will respect farmers and ranchers and energy workers in the small town across our state. I will protect them and their rights. And I will advocate for them, unlike what's happening right now. And I will show up for them. I will show up for them. In fact, I am going to make a pledge to create some governor's office satellite locations, and one of those will be in Pueblo, Colorado. I'm also going to put people on the boards and commissions, there's over 300 of them, which will have public meetings and actually talk to the public and let them engage, which isn't happening right now. I'll also appoint people who are actually from rural Colorado to the committees and boards that affect rural Colorado. And I'll appoint new agency heads, ones that actually have the experience to help farmers and ranchers do more and survive a really tough time right now and protect their water rights. You know, we are a state filled with the beautiful small towns all over the state, farmers, ranchers. They are hurting right now. They just want to produce great food. They want to respect their family, their generations of family that has done such good work here, and I will do that.
Thank you, Regent. Thank you. Governor, your rebuttal.
You know, she's talking about some of my appointees. The only appointee that she's got to make was her lieutenant governor candidate. She chose an election denier who denies that Joe Biden won the election 2 years ago. Look, the people of Pueblo know that with me as governor, they don't get some satellite, they get me. I'm here all the time, meeting with local businesses, calling out bingo at the bingo hall, hanging out downtown, whether it's at the State Fair or the Pueblo Chili Festival. Residents of Pueblo come up to me all the time and share their ideas. I'm not going to send some satellite. You're going to see me here just as you have the last 4 years. Look, ag is an incredible part of our economy. You know, My opponent was a marketer. I'm sure she could appreciate how reverse psychology can drive sales. I drove a lot of meat sales with that meat-in day that we now have across the state of Colorado. And I plan to continue attending meat-in barbecues across the great state to continue to boost growing in Colorado produce.
Thank you, Governor. Regent, 1 minute.
So, Governor, you shouldn't believe everything you read in the news. Danny's made it very clear he respects Joe Biden and he's his commander-in-chief, as have I. And Danny's actually an incredible person. He's a Navy veteran of 24 years. He retired at the highest enlisted rank of Master Chief. He also grew up in the projects of Louisiana, and he has a heart for kids. He's an entrepreneur who, after he got out of the Navy, decided to start a business, a little software company, and he grew it from 1 people to over 100, and he does business all over the world now. He has 2 great kids and a wife. He is so passionate for this state. He is talking to the people that you won't talk to about the reading problem that we have for African American and Hispanic kids in Denver. He's going to the heart of Denver. He's going to Aurora. He's going to Adams County. He's coming to Pueblo. We are listening to the people across this state and hearing why they're hurting and how we're going to fix these problems. Danny and I get stuff done, bottom line.
Thank you, Regent. Now we're going to talk about the economy, and Regent, you'll have the first response. The U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee, along with multiple other agencies, have been consistently reporting Colorado as having one of the highest, if not highest, inflation rates in the country, with the average family now having an additional burden of more than $900 a month. What would you say are the major contributors to this painful trend, and what are your solutions to overcoming the problem?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, and I built a business from scratch that created thousands of jobs, Camp Bow Wow, and also made, franchisees, it let them build a business that they loved, that they were passionate about, and create jobs also. And one of the reasons that I got involved in politics was because the government kept getting in the way. They kept stopping me from growing my business and helping my franchisees do more business. And they love their dogs. They love their customers. They treated them so well. But the government always thought they knew better. And Jared always thinks he knows better. The government has grown by 25% under his reign in Colorado. He's added 85 new taxes and fees. He's added tons of regulations and new social programs on the backs of small business owners. That's why inflation is such a problem in Colorado. We can give the 8% to Joe Biden. We'll let him be responsible for that. But what about the additional 7 or 8% that we're seeing here in our state that's making it impossible to afford to buy a house, to rent a house even, to pay for gas, to pay for groceries, to pay for school supplies? So what am I going to do? I am going to take Colorado to zero income tax. He talked about it. I'm going to do it. I've spoken extensively about the plan. 9 other states are at zero income tax, and they're some of the hottest economies in the country. We have a spending problem here in Colorado, not a revenue problem. The state budget has doubled in the past decade, adding a couple billion just under your watch in the last couple years. He's added 4,000 new full-time employees to the agencies that rule our lives every day. When people ask me what I'm going to do as governor, I say I'm going to undo a lot of what the damage has been done and give control back to the people of Colorado. Give the control back to the small business owners so they can create jobs and do what they do best, and that's make amazing products and services for us. In the first half of this year, 27% fewer companies created, businesses started, than in previous years. That's not a good sign. So how are we going to go to zero income tax? We're going to move fees to taxes. Fees are taxes. Fees are taxes, just so you know. And we're going to ask Colorado voters to change the way we do TABOR refunds, to make them income tax reductions and make them permanent. We're going to shrink the size of government by 10% a year by doing a hiring freeze and addressing vacancy funds. We're going to do an audit. In my first weeks, I'm going to hire someone outside to do an audit and find fraud and waste. Do you think we can find 5% fraud and waste in the government? That might be $1 billion or $2 billion right there. And then we're going to cut slush funds and remove special interest tax exemptions like he wanted to offer Disney to come to Colorado. That's a whole nother conversation. What I want to do is put more money back into the pockets of the people of Colorado. That's how you solve inflation. That's how you fire up the economy. And that's how you make brighter futures for those who are suffering right now in our state.
Thank you, Governor Polis.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I mean, who wouldn't want Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy right here in Colorado? Am I right? Look,
Wow.
when you talk about global inflation, it's about monetary policy. It's about federal deficit spending. In Colorado, we're required to balance our budget. I supported a balanced budget amendment in Congress, but they haven't passed it. They should do that nationally. We do that here in Colorado. And it's about international supply chain issues like in Ukraine. The truth is my opponent's tax plan. First of all, her gas tax plan relies on more fees, not less. She's actually said all of Highway 25 would be a toll road under her plan. I think that's wrong for Colorado. I think that we can do more to build out infrastructure rather than charge people for its use. The gas tax is also the dedicated funding source for the State Patrol, and that's very important because that way the State Patrol doesn't need to go and fight for money with all the other priorities like schools and everything else. Her gas tax plan would have the funding for the Colorado State Patrol, making our roads and our communities less safe rather than more safe. Her tax plan would defund corrections and prisons, letting criminals out on the street where they will do us more harm. Yes, that's a terrible tax plan. I agree with you. Look, we have global inflation. And so what can a governor do? We can focus on saving people money. I challenged the state legislature to find 50 ways to save you money. I even sang the old Simon and Garfunkel tune. And I was proud that working with Republicans and Democrats, we got 100 bills through, 100 things done to save people money. Everything from reducing the cost of an annual state park pass to go out to Lake Pueblo from $84 to $29 for a family starting next year. That's a night out on the town. That's money that can go to groceries. We permanently removed the sales tax from diapers across the state of Colorado starting in January. I think you probably all got back $750 or $1,500. Sponsored by Pueblo's own Senator Nick Henriksen. And 93 other ways to save people money with free preschool and kindergarten, saving people money on health care, reducing fees across so many different categories. For instance, if you're a nurse in Colorado, behavioral health specialist, you don't need to pay the state anything to renew your license these next 2 years. In fact, we should be thanking you for your work and saying you don't have to pay that $100. To encourage entrepreneurship, we made it $1 to start a new business in Colorado, saving people $75, $100, and you know what? That might not sound like a lot, but for somebody who saved up $400 or $500 to start a business, that makes an enormous difference, saving them $75 so they can turn their idea into reality and have the same kind of opportunity that Regent Ganahl and I had.
Thank you, Regent. Your rebuttal?
So, I get that he's trying to reduce a few fees here and there, maybe $20 here, $40 here. Because of inflation in Colorado, we are #1 in the country. COVID is not an excuse. Families are paying $11,500 more a year to live here. That is crushing them. These little $20, $50 here, nibbles around the edges. I'm going to go bold and big, and we are going to put more money back into the people of Colorado's pockets, and we're going to address this economy and make sure that inflation is addressed under my governorship. Let's talk about free. There's nothing free if you didn't take economics in school. There's nothing free. Taxpayers are paying for these programs. And I have a heart for kids. I want every child to be able to go to kindergarten, preschool, whatever their parents need. But the government hasn't done such a hot job of K through 12 when 60% of our kids cannot read, write, or do math at grade level. And there's a lot of nonsense being taught in the schools, and you want to add pre-K to it. I don't know about that.
Thank you, Regent. Thank you. Governor, rebuttal?
Well, if I just heard my opponent come out against pre-K, that will cost families $5,000
I did not. I said it's not
a year
free.
more.
The rebuttal is to the governor,
please.
please.
67.8% of the voters of Colorado, including huge margins in El Paso County, Douglas County, and Pueblo County. Look, we delivered on the largest property tax cut in Colorado history, over $700 million, 2023, 2024. If I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that we can find a way to continue those lower property tax cuts into the future and get it done. We got back, because of record budget surpluses in a strong economy, $750, $1,500 back,
here we go.
9 months ahead of schedule.
Favor.
My opponent would have had government sit on that money. We got it back to you. Look, we need to do more to save people money. And we need to make sure we do it in a fair way for everybody. It'll take you an example. I support the senior homestead exemption, lower property tax for seniors. We now passed another tax credit that goes to seniors who aren't wealthy enough to own their own home, because they should also get taxes back rather than give their money to the government.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. We're going to once again ask everybody to be respectful. So next we're going to talk about energy. Governor, you have the first response on this, and we're going to ask two questions. The first one is this. Our communities have expressed a deep concern with the growing pains we are all feeling in Colorado's new energy economy. What's going right, and what would you change?
Great. Well, I have a lot of energy. It's definitely not the shoes. And we support all kinds of energy here in the great state of Colorado, whether it's the largest behind-the-meter solar project powering Colorado, Rocky Mountain Steel jobs now into the future, whether it's our tremendous natural resources in our oil and gas industry, whether it's our wind, or whether it's my work with the bipartisan Western Governors Association on geothermal energy to heat beneath our feet. I was at Colorado Mesa University, CMU, your rivals, sorry. I was rooting for the Thunderwolves when I went to your baseball game. I threw out the first pitch. You know, it's about making sure that we can have a sustainable energy future. There's 70% geothermal energy. CSU Pueblo, first university in the state of Colorado, 100% renewable energy. Congratulations, President Mote. Look, when it comes to oil and gas development, we want to make sure that locals have a place at that table, and we got it done. With support, of course, from some members of the oil and gas industry, not all of them, but some of them, and working with the environmental communities, others, to make sure that, you know what, again, in a great big state, just as different areas of the state handled COVID differently, appropriately so, different areas of the state, Boulder County, Weld County, Pueblo County, Douglas County, they should have a seat at the table, whether it's neighbors, whether it's their elected city council and mayors, or whether it's commissioners. We want to make sure that we put health and safety first and give communities a seat at the table as we make sure that we can help power the world with our natural resources from right here in the great state of Colorado.
Thank you, Governor. Regent?
Thank you. Let me clarify something. I'm a mom of 4. I have twins that are 10. I'm on the front lines of education. I fully support pre-K care. I support all care for our kids. But your administration is not doing such a hot job of K through 12 right now. So I'd rather look to private industry, to charities, communities, churches to help solve this problem. I was on the board of EPIC, which looked towards innovative solutions to bring childcare through businesses and make it an employee benefit. I think that's a better path. Let's get to energy. So we produce the cleanest energy on the planet here in Colorado. We have the strictest regulations in the world here. We make amazing, amazing energy here. I'm an all of the above energy candidate, but why on earth would you shut down production here where we care about the environment, we want clean land, clean air, clean water, and instead go to Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and get our oil and gas from there? That makes no sense. You have decimated the energy industry in here. Decimated it. This affects our schools through severance taxes. It affects our communities all over this state. They're not going to survive without oil and gas production here. We can still go renewable, but he has gone too far, too fast. We've got to back off. We've got to look at the people who are getting hurt most by his Green New Deal. And it's the poorest in our communities who can't afford to pay $100 to fill their gas tank. They can't afford to pay ridiculous amounts of money to put a little heat in their house. They don't deserve to have to choose between groceries and gas and heating their home and eating a good meal. That is not the Colorado that we all grew up with, that we love. We've got to get our energy industry back on track. I will put the industry back to work. We will still go renewable. We will look at nuclear, which they turned down in the last legislative session. If you're serious about clean energy, if you're serious about it, why did you turn that down? A study to look at nuclear here. Why aren't we looking at hydro? Why aren't we looking at all options instead of just destroying the energy industry that you don't like, the part that you don't like? Also, we've got to stop the shutdowns of the power plants if at all possible. What is your plan to replace this energy? I toured, I went to the power plant in Craig and I talked to them. I said, what is the plan once you shut down? They're like, they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. They don't know what to do. They just know that they want to go all in on renewables. That is not how we're going to do things in Colorado. That is going to hurt the poorest people in our state. It's going to hurt rural communities. It is not the right path forward. And finally, don't expect a single mom of 3 working 2 jobs to buy a Tesla or rely solely on public transportation. That's if her car doesn't get stolen out of her driveway. It's too far, too fast. We've got to take a softer approach.
Thank you. Governor, your rebuttal.
Well, I thought you drive a Tesla, don't you?
Our family has 3 cars,
So
yeah.
I drive an internal combustion engine, and I'm proud to.
I also have a Chevy Express conversion
Look,
van with 120,000 miles on it.
Not everybody can afford a Tesla like my opponent.
Well, you can.
Yeah, but I drive an internal combustion engine. I think that's all you need to know
Why
about
don't you
us
walk
here, right?
the talk
Look,
then,
that's
Jared?
it. Hey, if I can start my time. First of all, President Mote, President Marshall over at CMU did, when they calculated the savings of geothermal, and maybe you've done this here too, they said it reduces tuition by 2%, the fact they're getting a low-cost energy. If we can do a similar exercise, maybe you've already done it, I'll help you publicize it, but I know that your solar fields, which I've been to, your energy helps reduce tuition for students right here. Look, we work closely with Pueblo and Comanche, holding Pueblo whole through 2040 on that plan. The truth is that the highest cost form of energy on the grid right now is coal, 8 to 10 cents a kilowatt hour. New solar and wind energy, 2 to 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So we have to ask ourselves, how much longer should we force Black Hills customers to pay more just to keep coal alive for a few more years? I want to save you money on your electricity bills.
Thank you, Governor.
I look forward to working to get it done.
Thank you, Governor. Regent, your rebuttal.
Yeah. You know, I thought I'd walk the talk. So I thought before I ran, I'm going to get an electric car so I can live it and feel it and see what it's like. My real car, my car that I drive every day, is a Chevy Express conversion van that I carry my kids and dogs around that has 120,000 miles on it. So that's my day-to-day. But I mean, it is the most unrealistic thing now that I've had one to expect people who make $80,000 a year household income to buy an electric car, put the charger station in, and figure out how to maintain it. It's not realistic.
You can lend me
Your
yours. I'll take it
program
for a
is going
spin.
too far, too fast. We've got to think about the most vulnerable in our state. And the most vulnerable in our state drive gas cars. And you do too. If you want to walk the talk, why don't you get an electric car? I don't understand that. But regardless,
I'll just borrow
we're
yours
going to have
since
a
you're not using
common
it.
sense solution. We're going to have common sense approach to energy. And we're going to get our energy industry back on track. And we're going to support our schools through severance taxes. We're going to make sure that people can afford gas and that they can afford to heat their home and that they don't have to choose between groceries and school supplies and filling their gas tank.
Thank you. Will you guys both do me a favor and let the other finish their rebuttal before we interrupt them? Thank you so much. Okay, this is our second energy question, and this will start with you, Regent. What role does natural gas play in Colorado and by extension our nation's future energy security?
Thank you. I addressed this quite a bit in my previous answer, but guys, we're watching what's happening around the world right now. Our national security has never been more important. Why would we rely on bad actors? Why right now, when the world is on fire, when things are so scary out there, would we not go back to being energy independent like we were a few years ago? The stakes are so high here. And again, we produce the cleanest energy on the planet right here in Colorado. Let's get them back to work so that we don't have to buy oil and gas from bad actors around this planet. That makes no sense. Don't shut down the pipelines. Don't shut down our oil and gas production here in Colorado. Get it back to work, and we will serve the rest of the world so that they don't have to do deals with bad actors too.
Thank you. Governor?
When we talk about getting to 80% renewable energy, which the PUC now has a plan to do, Excel, Black Hills, rural electric co-ops, you name it, saving people money, phasing out high-cost coal, lower-cost renewable energy, it leaves the need for that baseload, that 20%. That's the area where natural gas competes with geothermal electric, with hydro, with storage. All of these technologies that are coming online that stay on regardless of wind, regardless of sun. We need to find the lowest cost alternative to get it done. Look, when natural gas prices are high, there's a lot more activity in Colorado when we produce and export natural gas. We also have to make sure that our ratepayers Black Hills, utility, you have your utility bills. Excel, Colorado Springs Electric Utility. That you aren't faced paying for the hidden costs of natural gas. What do I mean by that? They can't handle a little snow in Texas. You might remember that, about 2 years ago. Snowstorms in Texas led to enormous increases in natural gas rates in the short-term market. Because of our reliance on natural gas, you have an additional fee on your utility bill, depending on where you live, the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. And you have to look at those costs as well when you're figuring out the lowest cost, sustainable form of energy to save people money on their utility bills and make sure that Colorado continue to do our part to power the global economy.
Thank you. Regent, your rebuttal?
So again, 15.6% inflation in Colorado. $11,500 more it costs you to live here every year now. A lot of folks can't afford that. They are suffering. We've got to do all we can to bring down the price of energy. And in order to do that, we should produce as much as we can here in Colorado where we do it right. You know, I'm tired of hearing that everything is great, everything is wonderful. Everything is not wonderful across Colorado. I talk to farmers, ranchers, energy workers all over this state. It's devastating what has happened to Colorado. Hold him accountable when you vote in a few weeks. We've got to do better for our kids and grandkids. This is not the Colorado we all grew up with. Gosh darn it, you guys. I'm a kid from Monument, and I was blessed enough to live the American dream and build a business around something I'm very passionate about. But I was taught to give back and to make sure, because I was so blessed to be born in this country, that I would pay it forward. And I plan to do just that by fixing our state.
Thank you.
Look, we need to make sure that we put front and center saving people money and reducing costs, whether it's on the utility bills that you pay every month, whether it's suspending any new gas fees, which we did, whether it's refunding money back quicker rather than later, whether it's reducing the cost of starting a new business, whether it's free preschool and kindergarten, reducing the cost of a higher education, more ways for kids to get the skills they need for success, like apprenticeships. We increased dual and concurrent enrollment by 228%. Right now, 42% of kids graduating high school have gotten some skill through a dual or concurrent enrollment program, transferable college credit, reducing their costs of finishing up here at CSU Pueblo or getting a certificate in a job that supports them and their families. That's the Colorado that I believe in. I believe in a Colorado that works for you, not the special interests.
Final question before closing remarks. You'll start with this one, Governor, and we're going to discuss public safety. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation reports that between 2019 and 2021, violent crimes, which include aggravated assault, sex crimes, and robberies, increased 17%. Homicides increased 47%. Auto theft increased 86% in Colorado. In addition, the FBI reports in 2019 to 2020, Colorado had the fourth highest increase of crime in the nation. What are the primary contributors to this, and what are your solutions?
First, just as I challenged my opponent, which she didn't do here tonight, to come out against the plan to buy up the San Luis Valley water and sell it to Douglas County, I'll reissue my challenge for her to join me in supporting funding the police right here in Pueblo and support 2B this November.
Absolutely.
I also ask her to join me in supporting bipartisan solutions that make Colorado one of the safest states. Look, if I'm reelected your governor, we have a track record of getting things done. And I will come before you 4 years from now, and we'll talk about how we move Colorado from 21st in violent crime to one of the 10 lowest states for violent crime, including right here in Pueblo, working with Pueblo law enforcement to get it done. And look, of course it's about support for our police, for our sheriff's deputies, but it's also about making sure we have the right behavioral health interventions to make sure that we can prevent crime before it happens and get at the needs. We have free mental health care through the I Matters program, which I invite my opponent to join me in supporting for every child in the state of Colorado. It's great when I go to schools to see that's made available. Allowable uses for some of our additional funds include more counselors at our schools as well. We also need to make sure we can reduce youth recidivism with successful interventions, youth diversion programs, finding a way to harvest the great potential that youth have through our outdoor equity program. We were proud to deliver a $50,000 grant right here to Pueblo through the Boys and Girls Club, which we just awarded a few weeks ago. And they're going to use that money to get kids out camping and hiking and make sure that they can introduce them to all the things that make Colorado special. Look, we have a strong economy. We have enough jobs. We need to make sure that we can continue to make sure that people have the right skills for those jobs and make reduced training costs to make sure that no matter where you're from, no matter who you are, that you can succeed and get ahead right here in the great state of Colorado. I'm a data-driven guy. You saw that during my leadership during the pandemic, and you see it with public safety. I'm for good ideas from the left, from the right, from Republicans, from Democrats. We have a brain trust of Republican and Democratic DAs, sheriffs, police chiefs, where rightfully so, we don't even know their party, which is great. And they all bring good ideas to the table. And not only did we present those ideas, but again, a difference, we got them done. My opponent's tax plan, her gas tax plan, cut funding in half for the state patrol. Her income tax plan, defund corrections, let criminals out on the street. I want to make sure that we fund law enforcement, not defund law enforcement. And as my track record shows, we'll get it done.
Thank you. Regent?
So, Mr. Polis, you still haven't answered to Mickey why you signed the fentanyl bill that killed her daughter. That policy is destroying our state. Decriminalizing fentanyl was one of the most destructive things a governor has ever done to Colorado. And we will change that. We will change that. We will make it a felony to have any possession of fentanyl. It's a poison. It is killing our kids. You also, after telling Walker Stapleton in a debate that you would not agree to making Colorado a sanctuary state, you did. And so now our ICE agents and our law enforcement can't communicate to coordinate to stop traffickers and drugs from flowing across the southern border of Colorado. You also changed sentences for auto theft. You also eliminated the death penalty. You instituted catch and release, and we are now number 4 in recidivism, which means repeat offenders are doing most of the bad things in Colorado. You lowered the penalty for first-degree murder. You allowed more convicted felons to possess guns. You interfered to cut a truck driver's sentence that killed 4 very dear people to some special families in a fiery crash when you could have just let the process play out like the victims' families wanted to for a couple weeks. You also pushed for PR bonds. Doesn't take much to stay out of jail these days. Doesn't take much to go to jail these days, or to not go to jail these days. And you appointed lenient judges who are not holding criminals' feet to the fire. I will replace the parole board. I will stop our sanctuary status and allow ICE to do their job and law enforcement. I will appoint tough judges. I will declare a state of emergency on fentanyl and clean up this state. I will get tough on auto theft. I will keep repeat offenders in jail, and I will clean up our streets. Homelessness has spread all over this state. In fact, it's increased 1/3 since you became governor, and there are no solutions. You guys don't have any answers. We've got to have compassion and tough love, but we need to clean up our streets. Our cities are unlivable now. When you talk to the small business owners that are shutting down, and the families who are moving out of Denver, and now Durango and Grand Junction, it's everywhere. It's Pueblo. It's everywhere. Have some respect for our cities and our state and clean it up. We can do it with compassion. But for you to stand up here and say that your record on crime is helping Coloradans, that's a slap in the face to Mickey and all the families who lost their kids to fentanyl. It's a slap in the face to every young mom who had her car stolen and can't figure out how to get to work. It's a slap in the face to law enforcement across the state. I'm not going to defund state troopers. That's ridiculous. You've let the ranks of state troopers go down 30% since you got into office. I think you can tell I was raised by a cop, and I am a law and order girl, and I will make sure that we respect law and order here in Colorado and respect law enforcement and give them the tools and resources they need to do their job so that our kids are not dying from fentanyl or crime.
Thank you, Regent. Governor, your rebuttal?
Maybe you didn't read your own plan, but your gas tax plan does cut funding for state troopers by 50%. We'll give you the chance to change that. I'll also give you one more chance here tonight to join me in supporting 2B to fund the police right here in Pueblo, Colorado. Look, fentanyl has been, is, and will be illegal in the state of Colorado as long as I am your governor. Not
What?
only that, but we signed additional criminal charges, working with Democrats and Republicans in the legislature with support of law enforcement, new charges that never existed before for pill presses, new criminal charges to go after people so we can go up the supply chain. But everybody here knows it's also about making sure that we can get addicts the treatment they need. I'm sure that many of you have cousins, have friends that have dealt with the vicious cycle of addiction. We also funded more testing for fentanyl, more treatment, making sure that people can recover their dignity and get back to being productive members of society.
Thank you, Governor. Your rebuttal, Regent?
I'm not sure what to say, you guys. He's living in fantasy land. I don't know what he does with his days, but he's not talking to the people across Colorado whose kids can't read, write, or do math, who are in a mental health crisis with one of the highest suicide rates and drug addiction rates in the country. He's not talking to the farmers and ranchers who are suffering right now and just want someone to stand up for them and their generations of families who've worked so hard on the land here to produce great food. He's not talking to law enforcement who are shaking their heads like, what on earth is happening here? Why can't we just do our jobs? Why are we losing cops? Because they can't do their jobs. They're devastated. They want to protect us. And why are we living in a state where it's unaffordable? And talk about Tabor. Oh my goodness, what a boondoggle that was. Giving people back their Tabor refunds and calling it the Colorado Cashback. I was the one who opposed you on Prop CC. I chaired that committee to protect Tabor, and he's taking credit for the Tabor refunds.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Regent. I know. We're now going to go to closing remarks. We're going to begin. You have 4 minutes, Regent.
Thank you, and thanks for hosting this. I really appreciate it. Pueblo is such an important part of our community, the home of heroes. It's an amazing place, and I've so enjoyed getting to know everybody here. You know, Mr. Polis wants you to re-elect him to fix the problems that he created. Polis is the problem. Crime, drugs, inflation. When you vote, hold him accountable because the media won't, the donors won't. I mean, it's bad. And when I'm governor, I expect you to do the same with me. I'm a problem solver. I'm not a politician, but I know I'll get the job done with Danny by my side. I've been blessed to live the American dream. I'm now a mom on a mission to make sure that our kids and grandkids have the same opportunity that I did. I was raised up the road in Monument with little money, but a lot of love. Summers fishing on my dad's boat on Pueblo Reservoir, called Lake Pueblo. And I founded the country's largest pet care franchise because I love creating jobs. I love dogs. It was awesome. And I helped others build a business around something they love through franchising. I wanted to give back, so I started several charities to help kids. Moms Fight Back, She Factor, Fight Back Foundation. And for 6 years, I've driven change at the University of Colorado as your statewide elected regent. My husband, Jason, like I said, is a top barbecue cook and an entrepreneur also. He and I have 4 great kids, Jack and Jenna, Holly and Tori. They mean everything to me. And so does our home here, Colorado. I will not stand by and watch this beautiful state be destroyed. We have the highest inflation rate in the nation. As governor, I'll unleash Colorado's economy and put more money back into your pocket by taking us to zero income tax, cutting red tape to make housing affordable again, producing energy again here, and cutting the out-of-control state budget. Colorado, as you heard, is now 4th worst in the country for crime. You heard all the stats. We're number 1 in auto theft, number 1 in property crime, number 1 in cocaine use, number 2 in fentanyl deaths. As your governor, you also heard me say I will put law and order back into leadership in Colorado. Violence at schools is skyrocketing too. While school resource officers are told by the Democrats to stand down, their help isn't needed anymore. Fentanyl's in our schools. Our kids are being taught nonsense in the classroom, and 60% don't know how to read, write, or do math, yet we're spending billions on K-12 education. I'm a mom on a mission to make sure our kids can learn to read and write with common sense curriculum and make transparency a priority. We must pay teachers more. We must get more money back into the classroom. I will go all in on school choice, not just talk about it, and make sure that the funding follows the families if they need to make different choices for school, giving power back to the parents. Imagine that. He's fighting for his own political career, for his own American dream to be president and do what our country to what he's done to our state. I won't let him. We're building a movement across the state of energy workers, farmers, ranchers, parents who are ticked off, of small business owners who have seen their livelihoods destroyed by mandates, taxes, fees, and red tape, of young people just starting out who can't afford rent, gas, or to start a family. I'm offering a vision for a brighter future for Colorado, and yeah, I've had some tough love with the governor tonight, but someone needs to call him out and hold him accountable for the real record. We don't live on Fantasy Island. What I'm offering is simple. It's a brighter future here in Colorado. Big, bold ideas like I've talked about here to make it affordable again, safe again, free again. And Mr. Polis, this is an election, not an auction. You cannot buy our vote, and you can't run from your terrible record. His leadership is the problem, and I've got the solutions. With your help, with your vote on November 8th, we'll unleash Colorado together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, my opponent's made it clear tonight. Her only real mission is to take Colorado backwards, taking away our freedoms, ripping up our rights, and defunding our schools, defunding our police, and defunding our prisons. It was clear. She failed once again to come out against buying up the water rights from the San Luis Valley for Douglas County here tonight. She failed to come out in support of our men and women in blue right here in Pueblo, Colorado. My opponent paints a bleak picture for the state of Colorado. One of the important jobs as governor is to be a chief marketing officer for the state. And you know what? We have a great state. We wouldn't trade our state for anything. We love the state of Colorado. We love our outdoor areas and our state parks, including our newest state park in Trinidad at Fisher's Peak, just down the road from here. Like a lot of things, we completed Exit 11 ahead of time and ahead of budget. Right here, we got the bridge open across the highway. I hope you visit it soon. Look, when faced with her first official decision in the race, she chose somebody who called the election of 2020 the big steal. I don't know how you put any spin on that, Regent Ganahl. When I think about the bright future of our state, and I fundamentally believe that our best days as a state and as a nation are still ahead, I think about the new Institute of Transportation Technology right here at CSU Pueblo. We was here for the bill signing. We're building a strong transportation system, great careers for Southern Coloradans right here at Pueblo. There's so many steps that we're taking to create more opportunity in a Colorado for all. Coloradans know that I'll never stop fighting for more opportunity and more freedom. Of course, like every state in the nation, we have challenges ahead of us. My opponent spent her time laying them out in painstaking detail. But Colorado, the choice is clear. We can choose extreme ideas from someone who is dead set on taking away our rights and taking Colorado backwards. She said it herself that she is the MAGA candidate. Her tax plan, which apparently she hasn't read, would cut funding for the state patrol by 50%, defund our schools, and defund our prisons. Or we can move forward with investing in local law enforcement, making sure that we oppose buy and drive policies that would destroy our ag economy in Colorado. We can choose to solve problems rather than just talk about them. With proven leadership, working with Republicans and Democrats to get it done, I know that we will make sure that working with you, Pueblo's best days, Southern Colorado's best days, our state's best days, and our nation's best days are still ahead. I'd be honored to have your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. Please make sure you get out of